Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another video. So in today's video we are going to be using the new Owls toy barn that we got in the premium shop. Now this house skin I wasn't really too keen on and I was like, where am I even going to put this? I had absolutely no clue what I was going to do with it. However, when I went on the premium shop and looked at it, I saw that the back of it was completely plain and just looked like a farmyard red barn, and I instantly was like, okay, never mind, I want this because I wanted to use it to create a farm in my valley. I am so desperate for more farmyard style stuff in the game. I think it would be so cute to be able to have that. So this was kind of something that I was not going to pick up, but actually once I realized I could definitely do something that I preferred with it rather than the kind of like Toy Story theme it had, I instantly grabbed it and decided to create a farm. So let's get started. So as you can see, to start off with, I've popped it up here in the forest. This is my only biome that isn't decorated, but I felt like this would be the biome I'd most likely have a farm in. Now I don't know if I'm going to keep this here. I will say this again at the end of the video, but I'm not sure if it will stay here, but I feel like I probably will. I absolutely love how it turns out in the end. But to start off with, I use the Bell Cottage house to be like the farmhouse, and then obviously the barn on the back wall. And I started by putting in some of the unbordered leafy pathway and figured out the pathing of everything before I use some of the new fences that we got in the Mulan update. These are craftable fences and I use these to make two kind of rectangular paddocks on either side of where the kind of like barn is sitting, and these are going to be two different animal pens. Now I wasn't sure how I wanted to arrange everything, so I do play around with this for quite a while and figure out the spacing, but I knew I kind of wanted to have three originally, but I knew I wouldn't be able to make it symmetrical with three and I would have been using up quite a lot of space. So I went with just two and kind of sacrificed. I was going to do a kind of like a bunny kind of area and I was going to have the bunnies in there, but I decided to scrap that and just go with two farmyard animals. And then I went behind the Bell Cottage and I put in some trellis. Now this is going to be like a mini little like planting spot. I would have used the Walley garden, but I have this in my valley somewhere else, but that would be a really good option to put in here as it is quite small. So if you do have the Walley garden, you're looking for somewhere to integrate that in your valley, I'd highly recommend that. And once I'd done that, I started placing in a lot of the furniture I'd got out into the two different paddocks as well as around the rest of the build. Now for the back of the farm, I decided to put the trees in quite early. Usually I leave them till kind of later on, but as I knew the back of the build was going to be so overgrown and have a lot of bright colourful trees kind of lining the edges, I decided to pop those in pretty early. Now I did a mixture of the maple trees, the simple oaks and also the red trees, and then I dotted in some fir trees in between just to fit the forest aesthetic and kind of the vibe that's going on up here already in the biome. But you could definitely integrate this into any kind of biome you wanted just by using trees, and I did that and kind of lined the borders of the back of the farm to kind of make sure I had everything covered and had got them in early to know where I could place everything. I just extended the pathway down towards Dazzle Beach exit and continued that through and made this big open courtyard in the middle in front of the barn before doing the pathway down the middle of the two paddocks. because it is a farm and it is going for this more like cottagecore style look, I used a lot of craftable items in the build. Obviously there are some Scrooge items dotted about. Some of those are newer ones, so if you don't recognise anything, they may be new from Scrooge. There is a couple of premium shop items. Obviously the houses themselves are premium shop, and also the Stitch food truck, but I did want to include a lot of craftables in here as a lot of them fit the vibe really well. It gave me a lot of kind of like rustic items that I was able to integrate in here to give it that really nice natural cottagecore farmy look, and I started dotting those around the rest of the build. I included a lot of hay bales and things like that to obviously fit the farm vibe, and it kind of actually messed around with how I wanted to do the layout of everything. I actually ended up having too many items pulled out, and I did have to kind of sacrifice some because despite this being a pretty big build, I didn't want to clutter it up too much. I wanted it to be kind of easy to walk around and give it this really nice open farmer vibe. I didn't want it to be packed full of items, so I kind of go through them as I progress along and figure out which ones I felt were the most necessary in the build and which ones could probably be sacrificed. But there are definitely a lot of ones that I may go in and add later on or change things up at some point if I do decide to keep this in here, because there was quite a lot of items that actually fit really well with the vibe. Now once I had done the majority of the furniture, I went in and focused on the two different palettes themselves. I decided to do one as a chicken coop and one as a pig pen, and I have to say the chicken coop itself was massively inspired by Tiny Games. I am going to leave the video down below where I saw this inspiration and obviously her channel link. Make sure you go and subscribe to her and check that video out. It is amazing, and she created this gorgeous little chicken coop in a like Hobbiton style little town. It was so cute, and I was like, oh, I definitely need to have this somewhere in my valley. So full credit to her for that. So I created the little pond inspired by her, and obviously put in the little pear fruits that we get from Eternity Isle that just look like little ducks and chickens. Very cute. And then I went in and added a load of different fruits and vegetables. I just dropped these out of my inventory and dotted these around the farm. I put a lot on the tables by the barn, and then I also put a table at the front after. And I then also just dotted the fruits and vegetables all around the build just randomly. I wanted it to look like a really natural build. Obviously, if you have an ancient vacuum, just be aware that these will flag up on that, so just try not to like pick them all up if you're looking to do the same thing. Obviously this is something I knew I wanted to do. I love using the actual fruits and vegetables in game to create this look, and I also wanted it to look like animals were kind of running around and had dropped things. I did end up putting a lot in the pig pen to obviously fit the vibe of the pigs being kind of fed the leftover fruits and vegetables from the harvest, and I also dotted some around the rest of the build to kind of just fit everything and give it this really nice little touch. Now for a foliage in here, I went very simple and went with a lot of greens. I did go for the darker kind of bushes just to obviously fit the forest itself, and added lighter bushes throughout to kind of be a pop of colour. I do go in and add some of the Sunlit Plateau orange and red ones as well to give it that really nice autumnal cottagecore feel. Obviously I added some butterfly flowers as well and a couple of eternity owl bushes, but nothing major as I didn't want it to feel too jungly in here. But I did go and dot everything around and figure out how to integrate everything and block out those edges, as well as added some sunlit plateau grass spots into both of the coops. I used the really like rustic ones. Again, these were inspired by what I saw in Tanny's video, so I just felt like that was a genius idea, so I have also used that. Thank you, Tanny. But that is what I dotted in the coops themselves, and then I continued all the foliage around the edges of the pathway and behind all of the buildings and structures in between all of the trees to block out the edges and make it definitely feel like this really gorgeous overgrown space. Now in this build I am blocking out the stairway to the frosted heights, so if that's something you're conscious of, that you could definitely make a pathway between the Bell cottage into the two different exits. For this video I just blocked it out, as kind of things like that aren't too important to me, but that is something to be conscious of. So here is the final build. As you can see, we are starting from the entrance point and straight away we are thrown into the farm vibes. We have got the little table with some fruits and vegetables on, a lot of crafted furniture, as well as the gorgeous banner that we got with Jack Skellington's quest. I hope we get more stuff like this in the future. And we have a little well in the middle, and then we have this little seating section with an outhouse, just to kind of make sure that people can see the archway and the gorgeous kind of like display it has on the edges of it. I absolutely love this and it just fits perfectly. As we head down, we have again a lot more crafted furniture. We've got some wooden carts, we've got another smaller banner at the end to introduce you in, and on the left we have our little chicken coop. I have put Hey in here to hang out with the other like fake chickens, just because I felt like he was perfect in here, and I've decorated it so that they've got a little pond inspired by Tanny, a little trough and lots of hay bales, as well as a little basket of eggs. Then opposite that we have the pig pen, which obviously Pua is hanging out in, with again a similar vibe but a lot more kind of rustic. I've added some sticks in here as well as lots of vegetables on the floor to make it seem a little bit more worn down. And as we head through the archway, we have got our barn, and in front I've popped a couple of tables with some fruit and vegetables on. I actually condensed this so it looked like you could go through the barn door and you could see it a bit better. I didn't want to block it too much as it is so cute. And next to that we have a little critter home, which I've popped a load of bunny rabbits in to look like they hang out on the farm and kind of explore everything, and they're the ones who maybe stole all the carrots. And then next to the bell house we've just got a couple of hay bales and a little bike and just some rustic furniture to make it look very lived in. And then next to there we obviously have the trellis, and I've planted a few different patches of very basic crops. I think I did lettuce, tomato, carrot and wheat, just to look like a really kind of like homey little vegetable patch. It wasn't supposed to look like a farm like structural vegetable patch. It was meant to be more like the people who live in the house, this is their little mini one. As we head out there, we've obviously got the little table in the middle with some snacks on, and then we have our little grocery store stands. We've got the Stitch truck as well as 2 of the stands from Scrooge's to create this really gorgeous little farmer's market where people could come and shop for the fresh produce. And then as we come off from there, we have the exit down to Dazzle Beach with just a little seating area and a lot of foliage to cover it over. And that is the final build. I hope you guys enjoy. I took these pictures of it and I just really love how it looks. I honestly think it's probably going to have to stay in my valley for a while, because as much as I'm using my forest as my kind of dream snap space, I loved doing this build. I really enjoyed it and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I may have to like condense it and make it a bit smaller maybe, but for now it's definitely going to be staying here for as long as possible, because as I said before, I wasn't sure what to do with this barn, but getting more farmyard style stuff is so up my street, so I knew that utilizing this in this way was going to fit me so much better. So that is the final build. I hope you guys did enjoy and it gave you some inspiration of maybe a way you could use this premium shop house in a slightly different way to fit the vibe that you like. Obviously, if you do decide to use it as Owl's Toy Barn, that sounds amazing. Please do let me know down below how you've integrated that into your valley and made it work. I would love to see that, because I personally just could not figure out a spot for it, as it is quite a large building. So I decided to go for this instead, but I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure you like and subscribe and let me know down below what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!